can I welcome you all to Weymouth Peace Garden. The Peace Garden came out of an idea with friends around a kitchen table, and we talked about how you needed to find some way you could celebrate peace. At the same time, we've been talking about what to do with the Friends burial ground, which we don't own as Quakers. It's part of the council's land now. But then we came up with the idea, well, let's have a peace garden. But we wanted it to be multi-faith. We wanted it to be open to the community. And so that's what we started to do. So we consulted with residents, and we spoke a lot with different groups, and we got a lot of support. People put their ideas in a pot, and we actually employed a designer, and we came up with the peace garden you see here today. This is our labyrinth, which looks amazing. It was laid out on the ground by Brian Lynch, a friend from our meeting, and been maintained by the volunteers that you see here. People use it for walking and meditation, and the children love it as well. Here at Exeter Quakers, we had done the 10-10 campaign, but Minute 36 gave us a much greater impetus. So we studied the Swarthmore lecture, we got lots of copies, we changed our insulation, we got LED lights. Our premises committee looked after the PV panels campaign. We had to change our planning application because it's a conservation area so that they fit nicely into the roof and don't spoil the view. I think we need to encourage one another. So one of the ways we do it is to make this chart, and each star is an action that a Quaker has taken to make a difference. We have done 2 travel surveys, and now we've given up because people are fed up with it. But most people walk or come in sustainable ways. And now we're looking at how we can move our influence outwards, talk to our councillors, and further these ideas in the community as a whole. So to do that, a number of Quakers are active in the Transition Exeter initiative. They've bought shares in the Real Food Store, which is bringing local food into the centre of Exeter. It provides lovely local bread made on the premises, the produce grown very close to here. So we're helping to build sustainable local communities, and that's part of our daily spiritual practice, to put our money where our beliefs tell us to.
I recently attended a Quaker summer school based on activism and protest. This inspired me to take action against the nuclear weapons programme by protesting outside the Burfield factory.
I went to a Link event where we learnt about drone warfare and how it affects not only the victims but the people controlling the drones as well. This made me want to learn about conflicts in other countries and how Quakers can make a difference. And of course, all this couldn't be possible without the generous help of
Area.
meetings.
To me, Quakerism is where my spirituality and politics meet. And by that, I mean that I find spiritual nourishment within Quakers. I find a quiet space in which to reflect on the world, in which to reflect on my life, in which to reflect on the lives of others. And Quakerism also gives me a really loud space in which to practice my politics and practice activism and to challenge the world and to speak truth to power and to really try as far as we can to bring about the world that we want to live in through our actions and through our challenges. So Quakerism to me is quite a profound space actually. It's very radical, it's very stimulating, it's very exciting, and it is a huge part of my life.
I have 2 sort of twin threads to my work. One is about art and art therapy, and the other is about mediation and restorative justice. And I enjoy them both, and I think of it as a creative ways of being with people and of helping people in a variety of ways, either to solve conflict or to put things right, and to do it in creative ways. Because a number of times I've also crossed the boundaries, and so, for instance, I've run art and conflict workshops, art and anger workshops, and I've done quite a lot of those, both in Bristol and in other parts of the UK, and also in other countries. So I kind of feel it's all going in the same direction. And I think the way it's connected to my Quaker faith is that it's about meeting that of God in everyone, and all kinds of people, and helping people to lead more peaceful, harmonious lives, if possible.
I've been Quaker all my life, and because of the Quaker tradition of equality, females in Quakerism are used to being listened to and attended to. I'm also a scientist on the physical sciences side, and there are remarkably few women in that area even now. And I had quite a rough time as a young woman. So I'm keen that the women coming along behind me should have an easier time. And I've done quite a lot of work to improve conditions, I believe, for the younger women in the physical sciences.
I fell into waste management because I failed the necessary A-levels to enable me to become an estate agent. And what a bit of luck that was. Joined a family paper mill in Birmingham, then from there became a waste paper merchant, an independent waste paper merchant, which meant that I could sort of foster some of my Quaker beliefs. I believe that offering decent employment is one of the best things that you can do in terms of social justice. After a lifetime in waste management, I think that Quakers really need to take on board this Minute 36 sustainability commitment that we've all made. Everybody came back from Canterbury wildly enthused and great, and it's a bit depressing that people haven't taken it up more since. We should be getting involved in local energy companies, we should be getting involved in sustainability in our own meeting houses, we should be looking at our own personal travel arrangements. How do we get around? What do we need to make those journeys? Those are the kind of things that I think that as friends we need to really think about hard over the coming years, because it's for future generations that we need to be thinking now, not sitting back and letting other people do it.
Exeter Quakers is a charity. It's a marine, adventure, ecotherapy. And we work at sea for 4-5 days and nights at a time. And we work with people primarily who are recovering from addictions and other consequences of addictions, which will probably be abuse and certainly trauma. What they get out of it is a sense of, an enhanced sense of themselves. So our primary concern is for them to get this positive experience of themselves. That's the rock they can stand on. That's what can help them move forward in the rest of their lives. My Quaker faith is enhanced when I'm in this environment, but it's really enhanced when I'm working with other people in this environment. That's what changes it from being quite a solitary experience to a much more universal experience. And when I'm working with people who are quite damaged and I begin to see and feel the breakthrough they're making, a lot of it is not down to words. A lot of it is about a feeling that something quite dramatic has changed. And that for me, encapsulates my sense of being a Quaker. When I'm in that zone, I feel closer to God, and working with people enhances that. Two of the unique outcomes is firstly that the people who've had this experience are more likely to complete treatment. The other, which I find really thrilling, is that it's reported that the people who've come on this experience are more likely to have a successful reintegration back into the community.
My Quaker journey started when I was 13. I went to a school which promoted crafts, including pottery, and it happened to be a Quaker school. I was introduced to clay, which has become the centre of my life, and to meeting for worship at the same time. As my understanding of clay grew, so did my understanding of meeting, and I began to feel distinct parallels between them. One of these parallels is the practice of centering, both in meeting and in clay. Clay is an amorphous substance that needs to be given structure, initially by kneading, so that you blend the clay to give it a workable consistency. The clay is then put on the wheel and centered so that all the particles align. And as a potter, one can feel the integrity of the clay suddenly develop as it becomes centered. I often go to meeting for worship with all the noise of the world, the worry of bills and the problems that I have, and I sit in silent waiting. There is a quality of spirit that comes upon you which centres you, and as a potter centres the clay, so I feel that I have become centred.
I run a small charity called Purple Field Productions, which works together with people in Africa and Asia to make educational films in local languages, providing information on health and the welfare and the environment. Underlying it all is my Quaker faith and belief in peace and equality. I feel a desperate need to try and do something about this, but knowing what to do can be difficult. Joseph Rowntree advised us against the charity of emotion, and told us rather than to address the superficial symptoms that we should search out the underlying causes. And how we go about this must always, I hope, reflect our belief in that of God in everyone. That we respect the wishes of the people themselves. We respect their culture, their rights, and above all their feelings about how films should be made. Ultimately, remember that what we are making is not our film, but theirs.
As a child, I was impressed by my grandfather, who refused to fight in the First World War and went to prison rather than kill people. This brought the peace testimony really up close and personal for me. I learned from Palestinian and Israeli activists the power of citizen-to-citizen friendship and solidarity, and that whatever our governments do, as ordinary people, we can be friends across borders. This understanding, and working as a researcher for Drone Wars UK, took me to Afghanistan in 2012 with Voices for Creative Nonviolence. We stayed in Kabul with the Afghan Peace Volunteers, a group of young peace activists reaching out to the world from a prison created by 35 years of war and military occupation. We learned that we like each other and our interests are the same: peaceful coexistence and peace by peaceful means. William Penn said, "We could hurt no man that we believe loves us. Let us then try what love will do." Quakers might call these leadings ministry, and my faith compels me to seek these friendships across borders and then to share my lived experience, that there is that of God in everyone and each life is sacred.
We come together and make friends, we love each other, we want peace and biscuits.